Avoiding having that difficult conversation is slowly destroying you. No, legitimately, it really is. Do you wake up in the middle of the night, turning, tossing, thinking, oh my God, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna say? How am I gonna position something? Or maybe you've had that difficult conversation and then you keep replaying everything in your mind over and over and over. All of that stuff is creating ulcers in your stomach. It's creating anxiety in your brain. It is legitimately destroying you mentally and physically. There are ways though that you can help yourself so that you don't feel like that. And I'm gonna share a story with you. Before I share my tips and tricks with you, let me share a story. I worked on cruise ships for a very long time ago. And on one ship particularly, I had been there for several months, but contract after contract. And so was a food and beverage manager. And for all intents and purposes, this F&B manager was a great leader. And everyone knew it. All his employees knew it. Like the leadership knew it. Like people wanted to work with this individual. He was genuinely like a great person. We had our offices side by side, and that means the walls are paper thin. So frequently, late in the evening, we're probably both in our offices doing paperwork, and he would knock on the wall and invite me over for a glass of wine. And of course, we would talk about our days and what's happening with our employees and how we're going to handle situations and all those kind of things. What I didn't know was him having me over was his method to try to calm himself down, because the next morning he was having some sort of difficult conversation. And this went on for months and months, contract after contract. And then one day, after these late night glasses of wine, he actually says to me, tomorrow I need to tell, Bob about his performance and this and that. And, I really like him and I know his family and all this. And he was just totally stressed out. And I was like, why haven't you asked me? I mean, this is what I do for a living. And he just said, oh, I never thought of it. Like innocently, completely innocently, I never thought of it. So we start talking about all of these times that he's invited me over. And he admits that for years now, every time he's invited me over late in an evening, it was to help calm him down, calm his nerves down, because he knew that he was going to have one of these difficult conversations the next morning. And so the light bulb came on for me that he'd been torturing himself for years. And although I was supposed to be his outlet or his scapegoat, he still was very anxious and wouldn't sleep the night before and just felt sick to his stomach, right? And I'm sure all of us have felt that way at some point. So I said to him, I've got tips and tricks for you. Like I've got some ideas that can really help you so that you don't feel this way. So I gave it to him that specific night, and the next morning we had radios back then. We didn't have any cell phones or anything. So we had radios, and he radioed me like urgent, to come to the office. And I completely forgot that he was having this conversation. So I rushed to the office. He was ecstatic. He was so happy he had taken these 3 tips, and he just felt like this weight had lifted off his shoulders. He was like, oh my God, that was so easy. I can't believe I haven't done this years sooner, right? And then he just continued to use them over and over and over. And he felt that he never really had to have a difficult conversation anymore. He just felt at ease with really doing his job. So for my tips and tricks for you is the first one, clarity. Clarity is so important. But in order for you to be clear in your message, you also have to be prepared. You can't just do things off, a whim, or call someone into your office and just blah, 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 right? You're not going to be clear if you're doing that. You're going to be very emotional. So if you're someone who likes to write things down, then perhaps you can do that. Maybe you also want to test out a video and see how that works too. But clarity is important. Now, part of clarity though is also not to sugarcoat things. Remember, I've said before, if you want things sugar-coated, go eat a donut, right? Your employees deserve honesty and clarity. They deserve to know exactly what the concern is so that they can now try to improve, right? And if you're not clear and if you're beating around the bush and not being very specific, it's not fair to them. Our second one, this one I feel is important in any conversation you're ever gonna have, whether personal or work related, is your tone. Your facial gestures, what you're doing with your hands, all of this matters. Sometimes it even matters more than the words coming out of your mouth. You know that recipient is going to be nervous coming into your office, right? And so you have to create an environment that's going to be good for them. In order to do that, you have to have a very calm voice. You can't be rushing through things. You can't be distracted. Can't have people knocking at your door, your cell phone going off, etc. So having a good tone matters with, again, proper facial gestures and, good posture, that type of thing, and a good environment. Don't just talk to them, in the hallway in front of everybody else, right? Now, my third one is something sometimes I think it's really hard for people to overcome is you're not there to win. You're not there to prove that someone has done something wrong. You're not there to make someone feel shitty, right? The whole purpose of having conversations with people is to find a way to move forward. So in order for you to be able to move forward, you have to have some sort of agreement. You have to have some sort of aha moment with your recipient so that together you can agree on what you're going to do to move forward. So for your full guide on having those difficult conversations, please click the link below. And for more tips and tricks related to all HR matters, check out our next video.